Hi, in this video we will learn how to refresh a pivot table with an easy VBA. I will insert a new pivot table in a new sheet. I will rename refresh button, and here I'm gonna introduce a product count, product category, and the value of sales, and I will copy this pivot table. I want also to have the customer, country, and sales. Good. Now we have two pivot tables, and I want to have an option instead of going to each one and right-click refresh or going to analyze and refresh. I want to have a button that will use each time to refresh the pivot tables, and this button will have a macro behind that will use this great process. So going to insert, in the illustrations we have shapes, and let's try to find a nice shape like a play button. Let's take this triangle, and I will rotate just to have a play button. I will increase the size. Okay, let's do it like this. And now if I click it, nothing happened, but I want to right click and go to assign macro options. Here I can give it a name to the macro, which is refresh button without space, and go to new one. And Excel automatically opened the Microsoft Visual Basic for applications. This is the VBA, and we have module 1 and the code. The code option, it's starting already with a sub refresh button, because this is the name that we give to our function, and now we just need to write a simple code. We want to refresh all the pivot tables from this workbook, so we will start with the location. So we have this workbook, and after we add a dot, you see that an open window we have in the end of our text, and we can start to look after a refresh, or we can simply continue our writing by select error E. So we have already bring out the refresh options, which is clear for us. We can double click here, or we can continue to write till the end of the text. Also we have the end sub already there, because Excel knows that anytime you create a code, you need to start with a sub and give it name, but you need to end that code anytime, because without this end you will obtain an error, so your macro will not run. Here we have some options like save, like undo. We have the run, which is the run sub. If we click now, basically our pivot table will refresh, but we did not modify any values. So we will simply close this window, that you can also reopen by press Alt and F11 from your keyboard. Okay, or you can also go into developer, and here you have Visual Basic option, and again Excel show us the Alt plus F11 option. Good. Now basically we have here, you see it's a button because we have this icon, and if you go to database and we'll change, in this moment the IT is the biggest category for us, But let's try to increase the kids category and put a biggest value for kids. Instead of 1.4K here, I will put 500K. Okay, and let's make it bigger, 700. I just want to have a clear image after I will click the refresh button that we've already created. So we have two pivot tables here, and if I will click this button, you see that the kids change, the Canada also change, because the values of 500K was in Canada. And if we take a look here in our, let's say, old dashboard, we see that we have here the refresh workbook for refresh button sheet. So this is the simplest way you can refresh your pivot tables. For sure, if we will transform this database into a table and we will add any other rows in the future, the Excel will help us to refresh all these pivot table also by going to analyze and select refresh all, or right click on each pivot table and refresh. But this is probably the most easiest way to have a button that will show you always and will help you to update all your pivot tables.